Jack stared at the strange amber sky above him, feeling a mixture of awe and nervous excitement. The planet he had landed on was nothing like Earth. Jagged mountains stretched toward the horizon. Rivers shimmered with a silvery glow, and the air carried a scent of wildflowers and minerals that he couldn't identify. As a human explorer, he had traveled across the stars, but he had never experienced anything like this. He had been invited to the tribal lands of a humanoid race known as the Apache descendant aliens. They were taller than humans, their skin marked with natural patterns resembling tattoos, and their eyes seemed to shimmer with intelligence and pride. Jack had heard stories about their fierce sense of community, their ability to survive in harsh environments, and their advanced understanding of technology, which they combined with old tribal traditions in ways humans could hardly imagine. A small procession approached him, moving with a quiet grace. At the front was a young woman who immediately drew Jack's attention. She moved with confidence and dignity, her long, dark hair braided neatly, adorned with small metallic beads that glinted in the sunlight. Her eyes held a sharp curiosity, and when they met his, Jack felt a strange jolt in his chest. "Welcome, human," she said, her voice melodic but firm. "I am Lena." Jack nodded, trying to appear calm, though his mind was racing. "I'm Jack. Thank you for welcoming me to your land." Lena smiled slightly, but her eyes stayed serious. "The ceremony will begin soon. It is a tradition for visitors of importance." Jack had been briefed on this tradition, but only in the most general terms. He had been told it was a bonding ceremony, a way to honor alliances between humans and their tribe. He had assumed it was symbolic. He hadn't realized how literal the bond could be. As they reached the ceremonial grounds, Jack's eyes widened. The area was an enormous circle carved into the earth, lined with tall stones etched with glowing symbols. Around the circle, other members of the tribe were gathered. They were watching him with a mixture of curiosity and respect. He realized that this was not just a casual gathering. This was a moment of great importance for them. Lena led him to the center of the circle, and a low hum began to rise from the stones. The air seemed to vibrate. Jack looked around nervously, feeling the weight of all those eyes upon him. He tried to remember everything he had been told, but the reality of the moment was overwhelming. The ceremony began with Lena speaking in a language he did not understand. Jack watched carefully, observing her gestures and the responses of the tribe. When she turned to him, she held out her hand. Jack hesitated for a moment, then stepped forward and took it. The moment their hands touched, a warmth spread through him, as if the air itself recognized the connection. He remembered the instructions. When the bond is accepted, the ceremony marks it as sacred. Jack nodded, smiling. "I accept," the tribe murmured in approval. Jack felt a swell of pride. He had done it. He had honored the tribe's tradition, and Lena's slight smile made his heart race. But then a shadow fell over the circle. Two other women stepped forward, each with the same grace and strength as Lena. Jack's heart sank as he realized something he hadn't expected. These were not just ordinary members of the tribe. They were the sisters of Lena. Mira was the first. She moved with a healer's calm, her hands steady and eyes gentle but discerning. Sela followed, a warrior whose presence made the air feel charged with energy. Both women looked directly at Jack, and in that moment he understood the truth. The bond he had accepted was not with one woman, it was with three. Jack blinked, unable to hide his surprise. I thought it was only with one." Lena's gaze softened, but there was a firmness in her tone. "In our tribe, the bond is never for just one. Harmony among siblings is sacred. By accepting me, you have accepted us all." Jack swallowed hard, feeling the enormity of what he had agreed to. It was more than he had imagined, more than he had prepared for. But as he looked at each sister, he saw not only their strength but also their individuality. They were remarkable, capable, and intelligent. Somehow he felt that this challenge was not impossible. It was an opportunity. The tribe began a ritual dance, their movements precise and fluid, symbolizing unity and respect. Jack joined as best he could, fumbling at first but gradually matching the rhythm. The three sisters watched him closely, noting his effort, his courage, and his willingness to participate. In a culture where actions mattered more than words, Jack realized that he could earn their respect by being himself. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, the ceremony reached its climax. The sisters stood before him, each placing a hand on his shoulders in turn. Jack felt the connection deepen, a mix of respect, trust, and unspoken understanding forming between them. Lena spoke again, her voice carrying through the quiet evening. "You will learn our ways, human. You will face challenges and dangers, but if you are willing, you will find that our bond is not a burden, it is strength." Jack nodded, feeling a strange sense of determination. "I am willing." Mira and Sela smiled faintly, their expressions softening.
"Then you will survive," Mira said.
Sela added, "And you may even thrive." As night fell, Jack sat with the three sisters around a fire. They shared stories of their childhood, their tribe, and the world they protected. Jack listened, fascinated by their intelligence, bravery, and wisdom. He realized that this bond was more than a ceremony. It was a doorway to understanding a culture far richer and deeper than he had imagined. By the end of the night, Jack's initial panic had transformed into curiosity and admiration. He had stepped into an unexpected world, faced a challenge he did not anticipate, and begun to earn the respect of three extraordinary sisters. The path ahead was uncertain, full of trials and lessons, but for the first time in his life, Jack felt truly alive, ready to embrace the adventure that awaited him. As he drifted to sleep under the alien sky, Jack thought about what tomorrow might bring. There would be training, tests of skill, and perhaps even danger. But he was no ordinary human. He was Jack, explorer, learner, and now, a bond to three of the strongest beings he had ever met. And somehow, he knew that the challenges ahead would reveal not just the strength of the sisters, but the hidden potential within himself. The fire crackled and the stars shone above, a silent promise of trials, growth, and the remarkable journey that lay ahead. Jack closed his eyes, ready for whatever the morning would bring. The next morning, Jack woke to the sound of birds unfamiliar to Earth. The sky was a soft mix of pink and orange, and the air carried the cool scent of the highland forests surrounding the tribal village. He stretched and rubbed his eyes, still feeling the weight of the bond he had accepted the previous day. It was a bond he had not anticipated, yet somehow it now felt like a challenge he was eager to meet. Lena, Mira, and Sela were already awake, moving gracefully around the camp. Lena was preparing a small breakfast of fruits and nutrient-rich plants. Mira was tending to minor injuries among the younger tribe members, while Sela was sharpening a set of hunting tools, her focus intense and unwavering. Jack observed them quietly, noting their discipline, skill, and attention to their roles within the tribe. Lena noticed him watching and smiled. "You slept well?" she asked. "I did," Jack replied, standing and stretching again. "Though I think today will be even more challenging than yesterday." Lena laughed softly, the sound light and confident. "Challenges are how you grow, human. You will learn quickly if you are ready to open your mind." Jack nodded, taking a deep breath. He had always prided himself on being adaptable, but this was beyond any human training he had ever experienced. Yet in the eyes of the three sisters, he felt something he rarely felt around other humans: respect and expectation. It pushed him to rise to the occasion. The morning was spent learning the tribe's customs and daily routines. Jack followed Lena through strategic exercises that involved planning defensive layouts around the village. He observed Mira as she prepared herbs and potions, demonstrating remarkable knowledge of biology and healing techniques. Sela took him into the forest to test his agility and awareness, pointing out dangers in the terrain that he would have never noticed on his own. It was exhausting, but Jack found himself exhilarated. Each task required him to think, adapt, and act with precision. For the first time in his life, he felt the thrill of being fully alive, not just surviving or observing, but contributing meaningfully. During the afternoon, the three sisters led Jack to a training ground. There, the tribe's youth were sparring with energy-based weapons that combined traditional tools with advanced technology. Sela challenged Jack to a sparring session. He knew he couldn't match her raw skill, but he relied on his human ingenuity, dodging, feinting, and using the terrain to his advantage. Though he was far from perfect, Sela's eyes showed approval. "You are quick to learn." "That is good," she said. "Few outsiders can keep up with our pace." Lena joined next, testing his strategic thinking. She posed hypothetical scenarios involving threats to the village and asked Jack how he would respond. At first, he struggled, trying to apply human logic to alien culture. But slowly he found solutions that impressed her, using creativity and lateral thinking. Mira observed quietly, occasionally offering guidance. Remember, strength alone is not enough. Understanding and empathy are powerful tools. Humans often underestimate their own ability to connect and influence others. By evening, Jack was exhausted but satisfied. He had survived physical challenges, demonstrated his cleverness, and begun to understand the intricate balance of skills and personalities that the sisters represented. He realized that their bond was not a limitation. It was a source of strength. Each sister brought a unique ability to the table, and together they formed a team that could achieve incredible things. That night, the sisters invited Jack to sit by a fire with them. They shared stories of past conflicts, victories, and lessons learned. Jack listened intently, absorbing their wisdom. He realized that while humans were often underestimated in the galaxy, his species' resilience, creativity, and courage were traits the sisters respected deeply. As they spoke, a sudden alarm cut through the calm night. The sky shimmered with the approach of unknown ships, their design unlike anything Jack had seen before. The sisters moved instantly, their actions precise and coordinated. "They are a rival faction," Sela said, her voice sharp. "They have tried to challenge our territory before. Tonight they come in force." Jack's heart raced. He had not expected actual danger so soon, but he did not hesitate. The sisters assigned roles quickly. Sela would lead the defense, Lena would coordinate strategy, and Mira would tend to the wounded. Jack was instructed to assist wherever he could, using his human perspective to spot weaknesses the aliens might not consider. The battle began with swift precision. The rival faction deployed energy-based attacks, but the sisters and their people responded with disciplined tactics. Jack noticed patterns in the enemy's movement and suggested a counter-strategy. At first, the sisters were skeptical, but when his plan prevented a direct breach of the village perimeter, their expressions shifted from doubt to admiration. Jack moved among the defenders, directing humans and aliens alike, blending his courage with quick thinking. He found himself dodging blasts, pulling injured villagers to safety, and coordinating counterattacks with the sisters. It was chaos, yet Jack thrived. He had never experienced anything like this, and yet, instinctively, he adapted. Every decision mattered, every move could change the outcome. By dawn, the rival faction retreated. The village had suffered minor damage, but there were no fatalities, thanks largely to Jack's quick thinking and the sisters' coordinated efforts. Exhausted but triumphant, Jack sank to the ground, breathing heavily. Lena sat beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You have done well, human," she said softly. "You did not falter when it mattered most. That is why we trust you." Mira and Sela joined, nodding in agreement. "You have proven your worth," Mira said. "Not by strength alone, but by courage and understanding." Sela's gaze held a rare softness. "You are not just a human. You are a partner. You think, you act, and you endure. That is more than enough to earn our respect." Jack looked at each sister, feeling a surge of gratitude and pride. He had come to this planet expecting adventure, and he had found something more. Respect, challenge, and the chance to grow beyond what he had imagined possible. He realized that the sisters were not just extraordinary. They were a mirror, reflecting his own potential in ways he had never known. In the following weeks, Jack continued to train, learn, and bond with the sisters. He honed his skills under Sela's watchful eye, mastered healing basics under Mira's guidance, and developed strategic thinking alongside Lena. Every day brought new challenges, navigating treacherous terrain, negotiating with neighboring tribes, and protecting the village from minor raids. Each trial strengthened not only his skills but also the bond between him and the sisters. Over time, Jack saw the depth of their culture. It was a blend of tradition and innovation, respect and courage. The sisters each had strengths that complemented his own. Lena's strategic mind challenged him to think ahead. Mira's compassion taught him patience and understanding. Sela's fierce bravery pushed him to act decisively. Together, they formed a unit that could face any challenge. One evening, after another day of intense training and village defense, Jack stood with the sisters on a cliff overlooking the valley. The sun set in brilliant shades, casting long shadows across the land. He felt a deep connection, not just to the sisters, but to the tribe and the world they protected. Lena spoke first. "You have come far, human. You have faced our tests, our challenges, and our ways. You have grown in ways few outsiders ever do, Mira added. We respect your courage, your intellect, and your willingness to embrace what you do not yet fully understand. Sayla smiled, a rare and warm expression. And we trust you. You are not just a guest, Jack, you are one of us now. Jack felt a swell of emotion he could not name. He had never expected to be so challenged, yet so valued. He realized that humans were underestimated in the galaxy, not because they were weak, but because they were capable of extraordinary adaptability, courage, and loyalty. He had proven that not only to the sisters, but to himself. As night fell and the stars glimmered above, Jack knew that this was only the beginning. The challenges ahead would be greater, the enemies more cunning, but he also knew that he was no longer alone. He had allies, 3 extraordinary sisters who were now his family and partners in every sense. And in that knowledge, he found strength beyond anything he had imagined. The bond that had begun as a misunderstanding had grown into something remarkable. Jack realized that he had not just accepted the sisters, he had accepted a destiny, a path that would test him, teach him, and ultimately reveal the true extent of human potential. And under the vast alien sky, Jack smiled. He was ready for whatever came next.